Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Lightning Snow. I'm here with my boy
Kyle Kenny.
And here today we're talking about a versus battle. This is my very first versus battle on my YouTube channel, and it's a Naruto's versus battle. Now, just let you guys know, we are both huge fans of Naruto. We watched this since we were little kids. We're not just some people like trolling and not know what the fuck we're talking about. We've actually done research on this battle. So the battle in particular we're doing is Kakashi versus Itachi. Now, before y'all get into it, we want to make sure that you know where we're coming from, because a lot of people at first glance will be like, "Oh, this should be an easy battle. Itachi stomps, like, no problem." But we are talking specifically about War Arc Kakashi. We're not talking about Part 1, early Shippuden, or even mid Shippuden. We're talking about War Arc Kakashi versus a prime, healthy Itachi, double Mangekyou Sharingan, alive, not Edo Tensei. Just to clarify. And me and my boy Kyle Kenny have been going back and forth a couple days and trying to see what we could, like, how the fight would go down. And honestly, we can't really come to a clear cut answer, but we kind of feel like we know where the battle's gonna go. But two things that we want to cover real quick is that I know a lot of people are gonna go in the comments about how Kakashi's chakra buff in the War Arc was just plot. Well, like, 85% of Naruto is plot convenience. Like, I mean, let's just go and be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and not only that, I feel like Kakashi deserves a chakra buff. Kind of the same way like Dragon Ball was Piccolo. Piccolo got a freaking power buff out of nowhere, just for the sake of plot. So I'm like, yeah. So like, it's fair. And I honestly was excited to see what Kakashi was capable of without his chakra restrictions, because that was his whole problem the entire series. He had all these crazy abilities, but didn't have enough chakra to utilize them. So, and it's not only that, but like you can train your chakra to develop. I mean, that's how Part 1 Sasuke developed into a stronger version of Part 2 Sasuke.
Yeah, and there's even a clear difference between Part 1 Kakashi versus the Pain Arc Kakashi. I mean, a strong difference in the amount of chakra.
Exactly. So it's not outlandish to think. I think where most people get their panties in a wad is that, like, how quickly it just seemed like Kakashi got so much chakra so fast. Because me and Kenny kind of base our assumptions of how his chakra reserves go, and we kind of base it off of Jiraiya level chakra, which I feel like is fair, because base Jiraiya himself has a lot of chakra. That's not even going to Sage Mode, which I arguably would think that Kakashi still has just as much, if not maybe a little bit more, than Jiraiya does. So, with that in mind, again, it's not outlandish to believe that War Arc Kakashi, there's a lot of time between the Pain Arc and the War Arc Kakashi.
Yeah.
From the War Arc that, like,
and everybody knows he just about died. He died in the Pain Arc. You gotta believe he trained like a motherfucker to get ready for the war. I mean, he wasn't just hanging back, sitting on his ass. He trained hardcore all the way up to the war. Yeah.
So, and again, that's plot too, because we didn't see that, because we were all so focused on Naruto's training, which again, that is plot, which I'm not downing Naruto.
Kakashi.
Yeah. I mean, he's the genius. Like, he's going to work hard. So, then with that, I wanted to go to the Pain Arc. I want to cover the Pain fight, because I think a lot of people don't give Kakashi enough credit, because a lot of people, we want to give a brief shout out to Swag Kage and Seth the Programmer, because we got inspired to do these versus battle videos by them. We hope we can do it just as well as they do, but this is a battle that they have not done yet, which I feel I have seen a lot of, like, people debate over it over the internet and on Facebook, but it's never been brought to YouTube as far as I'm concerned. So I wanted to do it. But regarding the Pain Arc, though, I want to cover the Pain fight real quick, and you can just totally skip this if you want. It's not really that big of a deal. You can just go on the rest of the video if you want. But a lot of people don't give Kakashi enough credit, because he did use a lot of jutsu. We just watched the Pain fight, and by the time he used his so I'm gonna break down all the jutsus that he used. He used a mud style mud wall jutsu, right? He used a Raikiri, and then he attempted to use another one. So for the sake of fairness, it's like Pain, like,
he dodged it.
Yeah, he dodged.
He committed to that Raikiri though.
Yeah. So like Pain Almighty pushed him away. So for the sake of fairness, we'll say that he still used that lightning blade. He used a lightning style shadow clone, which me and Kenny kind of like we agreed that like the use of a lightning style shadow clone is the equivalent of using 2 lightning blades.
Roughly. And we're
Right.
going off the assumption, if you rewatch the fight, he says immediately whenever Choji and his dad come in that has about half chakra left. So going off that, we're doing the math and coming out to where Kamui is about 2 Raikyuris, and the lightning style clone is also about 2 Raikyuris.
Okay. So, all right. So, like after the lightning clone, his lightning clone. Now you can totally just disregard this, but we are counting the 2 jutsu that his lightning clone performed, which was 1 use of the Raikyuri and a lightning style wolf against Pain. So we're counting those just for the sake of fairness. So that's 6, on top of the Earth style headhunter jutsu that he used to try to surprise Pain from underground,
And
then
the 6 he used before Choji and his dad came in.
yeah. So
That's before any Kamuis have gone off. He's used 6 high level jutsu.
Yeah. So the Earth style one made it 7, right? And then and then the next lightning blade they try to use when he restricted Pain with the chains. He used tried to use the lightning blade again, but was stopped by a last minute interception by the Osteropath.
Yep.
So and then right after that he used Kamui twice. And again we are basing the Kamui off of equivalent of using 2 Raikyuris, which I believe is fair because Kamui takes a lot of chakra. So that is at least 11 jutsu that Kakashi used. And for Kakashi, who in part 1 said he can only use Raikyuri 4 times in one day, all while using the Sharingan,
Which he's using the whole fight. He's using Sharingan this whole fight.
it's definitely a step up
Yeah.
for Kakashi. Because especially going off like during even in Shippuden, early Shippuden, when he was quote unquote fighting Deidara, he used Kamui twice.
Yeah.
Twice. He used it once to try to rip. No, 3 times, I believe. He tried to use it once to grip his arm. He tried to do his head off, but he ended up getting his arm off. But then tried to use it again while he was still flying in midair, but didn't get him anything.
Missed.
And then he used it again on his fake suicide bomb. So that is 3 times that Kakashi just used Kamui, and he was bedridden for a week. So, and not only that, but in part 1, Kakashi just only had his headband lifted up for the whole fight against Zabuza, and right after that fight, he was bedridden for at least a couple of days, or a few days, probably a week, up until Zabuza came back. So fast forward to this fight, there's no Sharingan fatigue issues almost whatsoever for War Art Kakashi.
No.
The only time he really gets fatigue is when he starts using a lot of jutsu. That's it. So you could argue that he's trained his body to almost to Uchiha level as far as using the Sharingan goes.
In the work, Obito even says he's mastered the Sharingan and he's got the Mangekyo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not even a question.
Okay, so now that we covered that, we want to just get that out of the way because again, Kakashi kind of gets almost little to no credit in that fight. And not only that, again, Pain's not a master strategist like someone like Shikamaru, but Kakashi outsmarted the motherfucker like 3 times at the very least. So let's just go off of that. So with that being said, again, you probably could skip that whole thing if you want to. Just go right to the video. But now that we've got that all the way out of the way, and we're not going to talk about Kakashi right now, we're going to go on to Itachi. We're going to break down each person's abilities and see how the fight would go down. Again, we have a pretty clear-cut answer, I feel like, but it still could go either way. But we won't say that until the end of the video, so let's just go ahead and...
He's already strong enough to fight pretty much everybody in the fucking Uchiha clan. Crazy high level. Oh, I think Lightning Snow forgot to mention. We're comparing our healthy Itachi to a 5 Kage Summit Sasuke. We think that's the best possible comparison chakra-wise, just because we don't know exactly where Itachi would be if he hadn't gotten sick. So going off of that, we got...
Well, like it's like we're saying, Sasuke lasted a while in that fight. Like, I'm not saying he totally got his ass whooped, but only a couple of uses of the Susanoo, and not even a full Susanoo, was enough to start for Sasuke to start feeling the effects of Susanoo. By the time,
The half Susanoo.
huh?
He was only using the half Susanoo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the skeletal. It was the skeletal version of the Susanoo.
Skeleton.
Yeah. So even that alone, by the time he got to the Mizukage, he was already starting to say my cells are hurting. I wonder how bad it was for Itachi to use the whole damn Susanoo. So, I feel 5 Kage Summit arc Sasuke is fair enough to say that, like, as far as chakra and stamina wise, because again, like Itachi, I mean not Itachi, but Sasuke has arguably just because, like, here's the thing I wanted to bring up too is like a lot of people get this notion that Itachi has some Madara level chakra reserve and stamina, and that is just not the case. Like, he does not as much, because like Madara has arguably as much chakra as Hashirama Senju, and if you any of you out there really want to tell me that Itachi Uchiha has enough chakra, just as much chakra as Hashirama Senju, you need to stop watching Naruto. You need to go back and watch Naruto, because you're out of your fucking mind.
You see in part 1 of Naruto just how low his stamina is when he's during the fight with Kakashi. I mean, he uses that one Shadow Clone explosion. I don't know what you would want to call that.
The Shadow Clone, yeah.
The explosive Shadow Clone.
Yeah.
And then he does, what, one Genjutsu on Kakashi?
Yeah.
And he's practically totaled.
Now,
just from that.
now, granted, like the Genjutsu in question is Tsukuyomi.
Yeah.
So let's go. I mean, I'm not saying
a lot of chakra, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, that's not a lot of jutsu.
now he wasn't strained, but you gotta, if you look back on that fight, one, Kisame even tells him right after, like, doing that's dangerous. Like, he's still alive, but you didn't even kill him, like, and you risk overusing those eyes. Like, what the hell? And you can see Itachi's like,
His eyes are twitching.
Yeah.
His eyes are twitching from the pain.
yeah. So like, and a lot of people want. Okay, this is another thing too. Is that a lot of people want to, like, oh well, Itachi didn't want to kill Kakashi because he was a member of the. No. Okay, so a lot of people don't know about this, but at that point in time, Kishimoto had no idea where Itachi's character was going to go. So for all we knew, and for all he knew, Itachi was a pure villain at that point. So it became pretty clear that he was trying to kill Kakashi. I mean, yeah, Kakashi did say, like, why not just kill me? I mean, if he wanted to, he could. So, like, why just keep me in a Genjutsu for quote unquote 3 days? And and we're comparing it to 5 Kage Summit arc Sasuke full chakra, which I do think is fair, because like whether or not what you want to believe, we personally think that Sasuke got his ass whooped by the time he got to the Mizukage, but he did last a while. Like,
there's no reason to assume that Itachi would have any more chakra than that. We don't know for sure. He could have had more, but we can't just assume that if he hadn't gotten sick, he'd be Madara level chakra.
oh yeah, no. And again, like, if any of you really want to, like, debate on whether or not, like, Itachi would have done even just as good or even better against the 5 Kage than Sasuke. Yeah, just throw in the comments. I mean, we're not disproving it. Like, I mean, Itachi is arguably smarter than Sasuke, especially at that time, because Sasuke was just driven by revenge purely. But Sasuke was still smart. Like, he took on Danzo tactically with almost no problem. Well, not almost no problem, but, like,
that was a lot of fights, though. He went through a lot of fights back to back to back.
Regardless of what any of you think, he lost the fight the moment he got to the Mizukage, because the Mizukage was like what was it? She was melting.
She melted his Susanoo
with their acid.
Yeah.
And then right after that, Onoki used particle style, and if had it not been for Obito, which we're gonna cover later on, but it had not been for Obito, Sasuke would have died. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way a drained, tired out Sasuke from using Susanoo constantly would have been able to survive that. But anyway, guys, we're getting off the beaten path.
If Itachi had done better in that fight, I say it solely because he would have had a more calm composure going into the fight versus Sasuke's revenge-driven fight style. But chakra-wise, that doesn't change. I say Itachi still has the same chakra level.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, if you want to, like, argue about that, you can leave it in the comments. But we feel like that's a fair, because, like, I mean, that's like a while after Sasuke had the Mangekyou Sharingan. So it wasn't just right after. He still had Amaterasu. He was pretty good at using Amaterasu, at least.
Yeah.
He was Susanoo. So it's not like we're not comparing him to a Taka Sasuke that got fucking his ass stomped by B.
Which is another thing you gotta consider. He's got experience for fighting the 8 Tails going into this fight.
Which, I mean, a full 8 Tails, yes.
A full 8 Tails.
Which, Itachi has fought Tail Beast himself too, but I don't think to the degree of one of the strongest. But that's near the here or there. But so we'll go off on Itachi's abilities first. So Itachi we'll go off Genjutsu because that's where he's physically stronger. So he has Tsukuyomi, which again, and keep in mind that most of Itachi's abilities, the ones that he relies heavily on, are all pretty much Sharingan based jutsu, which I assume takes up a lot more chakra than a regular just nature element jutsu would.
Yeah.
So Tsukuyomi, again, as we said, one use of it against Kakashi was enough to like leave him twitching. And again, it's not healthy Itachi, but he was a lot healthier then when he was as compared to when he was fighting Sasuke.
Yeah.
So I mean, one use of Tsukuyomi, and that was
Assuming he can even catch Kakashi in it, because now that Kakashi's been in it once, I highly doubt he'd fall for it a second time, especially at War Arc.
yeah. We'll cover that in a second, but like I wanted to, so
Chakra-wise.
yeah. I mean, not only that, I'm fairly certain Itachi only used Tsukuyomi, not just again, but he only used Tsukuyomi against Sasuke one time. If I'm not mistaken, in that fight, he only used Tsukuyomi one time. Because like in the opening fights, that was regular Genjutsu. That wasn't Tsukuyomi, was it?
And that was just regular Genjutsu.
Yeah.
For the whole
He only got
half of that fight.
He only got him in the Tsukuyomi when he got him pinned up against the wall, and like had him like thinking that he was gonna tear his eyes out. That was a Tsukuyomi, and Sasuke was still able to break out with a base 3 to 1. Now you could argue that Itachi led him, but according to the data books, which again you don't always have to.
Can't always trust the data books.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Because they make
you
some.
only got so much information.
Yeah, because they make some wacky claims. Again, Swag Kage mentions this, that like the data books mention that Heavy Sasuke could take on every single member of the Akatsuki in a solo fight, which I don't see happening. But regardless, regardless of what you think, like Itachi did use Tsukuyomi in that fight one time, all right, and then he used Amaterasu, which we're going on to his next ability. It was Amaterasu. He only used it a couple times. He used it twice against.
Yeah, I think twice.
He used it once. The first time he used it against Sasuke during the fireball, like clash.
Yeah.
And then he used it like right after, like in the midst of it, and then he used it again when he was trying to chase Sasuke down. And then, right as Sasuke was using Kirin, he used Susanoo. And all that we're going off of
But
like.
he's at the very end of his shot.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost impressive that he could even get off the Susanoo in the first place with how weakened of a state he was in at that point.
So I mean, we're giving Itachi a good bit of fairness, because the thing with the 5 Kage Summit Sasuke is that he wasn't really so depleted of chakra as so much as that he was drained because of overusing his Mangekyo Sharingan so much.
Yeah, he was just spamming it.
Yeah.
Just back to back to back.
Yeah.
As much as he could.
If I'm not mistaken, Itachi didn't really spam Mangekyo Sharingan a lot.
He was extremely reserved using it versus Sasuke during his revenge phase.
Yeah. So, okay, so we got Tsukuyomi, we got Amaterasu, and we got Susanoo. We're not counting Izanami. I thought that's just the too fucking broken. Like, there's just no. I don't see Itachi really even trying to use that against someone like Kakashi, because really that's only someone who's like trying to escape themselves. I'm pretty sure Kakashi knows himself. Like, Kakashi's like one of the most pure-hearted people in the series. Like, I probably. If Itachi got Kakashi in Izanami, I feel like it'd take like almost little to no time to get out of it.
Yeah, I can't see him going with that.
Because that was the only reason like Kabuto took so long, because he kept denying himself.
Yeah.
Like
he was evil.
Yeah.
He was evil. Kakashi's definitely not. I mean, we're saying he's got is the book.
Yeah. That's like trying to catch Naruto in Izanami. Like really, like aside from Kakashi, Naruto's probably like
He's
most.
conquered himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he tamed the Nine Tails. That's
He tamed his darker self, for crying out loud. So I mean, so we're not counting Izanami. That's just too broken. So we're talking Fire Style, Exploding Shadow Clones, Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu, Susanoo. All right, so now we're gonna go on to Kakashi. I know. Oh, yeah. And then we're gonna count intelligence. Because a lot of people are gonna debate about this too, but we're just gonna say that Itachi has, really high intelligence, equal, maybe a little bit less to Shikamaru. We'll for the sake of fairness, I feel like that's fair.
I feel like Kakashi and Itachi stack fairly evenly when it comes to in battle intelligence.
Yeah. And again, we were talking about how we're not talking about philosophical genius, which I feel like both of them still are.
Just straight combat.
Yeah. Like in the moment.
Yeah.
Like how I Pain the fight against Pain. That was like tactic to tactic to tactic, like for Kakashi.
You you can't pick a fight for Kakashi that he hasn't completely, pinned down his opponent in some type of a strategy to take them down. There isn't one.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to Kakashi. So Kakashi, Sharingan, he has got Lightning Blade, he's got 1,000 Jutsu, which again, we're not gonna totally rely on the 1,000 Jutsu because we don't see more than.
He uses basically the same 10, pretty much, just 10.
Yeah. So like, but we're still not gonna totally dismiss that. But
Yeah.
So and then we'll Lightning Blade, Kamui, and then now his high reserve of chakra. So first we'll break down Taijutsu because that's where kind of all battles kind of start at first.
Yeah.
If I had, and you can, Kenny, you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I would feel like Kakashi would edge out Itachi solely for the fact that one, Kakashi has trained almost his entire life with the god of Taijutsu, Might Guy. I mean, I'm not saying he trained every single day, but I mean, damn, like when you got
they're well enough to be rivals though.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's fairly versed in Taijutsu.
yeah, and even Itachi, the moment Guy showed up in part 1 to help Kakashi out, and Kisame was kind of like making like a joke of Guy, and I was just like, no, don't fucking take this guy serious. Like, don't take this guy lightly. Like, he is no joke. And that was solely off Taijutsu.
Yeah.
Like, Itachi knew that he only had Taijutsu, so it's just like, yeah, don't underestimate him. Like, I mean, don't, because
Well, even at the war, top tier Madara, highly respected guy for his Taijutsu.
alone, yeah.
Yeah, that's all he's got.
Yeah.
He's at eight gates, but
I mean,
he
still,
always
it's
had
only
8 gates.
Taijutsu, like really. So I mean, again, I'm not saying Itachi's like can't swap hands because he swapped hands against KCM2 Naruto, so that's saying something too. Like, I mean, we never really see Itachi fight Taijutsu a whole lot. I mean, granted,
You don't see you got that one fight really. You see a little bit against Sasuke, but it's hardly anything.
yeah.
You get a lot more Taijutsu from Kakashi than
Yeah.
you do from Itachi.
So like, we'll say that they're evens, but with Kakashi being slightly better, just because he's had more training with it. So now we'll go into intelligence just real quick. I know we just covered it real quick, but we want to try to go like pinpoint each kind of aspect of the fight. Naruto claimed in the beginning of Shippuden that Kakashi is around Shikamaru's level of intelligence, but I don't think it's outlandish to think. Like, maybe not as smart as Shikamaru as far as like overall strategy goes, but to make a tactic in the heat of battle.
I say with Shikamaru, a lot of the plans you see him form is before battle.
Yeah.
He goes into
Prep
battle
time.
with the plan. Yeah, he doesn't always just form them on the go.
Yeah.
Kakashi's are practically always in the heat of battle
Like-
while he's getting spammed with many jutsu.
Yeah. Like, so going back to the pain art, like, Kakashi figured out what the Diva Pass pain abilities was, and within, 2 minutes, he was able to develop a plan with what he had.
Pretty much.
He saw he had Choji and Choza. 2 seconds later, he's like, I got a plan. I need your help. Like,
As soon as the moment he's seen Pain use Almighty Push, and then dodge two kunai, he's like, there's a span of time he can't use this. It took one time to see that,
Yeah.
and he pinned that down.
it took how long for Shikamaru to realize Hidan's ritual jutsu, like, utilize other people's blood? And, like, I'm not saying Shikamaru's dumb. And, like, Hidan's ritual is kind of, like, sketchy at its core. So, like, it is kind of impressive that he was able to deduce that. But, like, Kakashi was able to make a plan on the fucking fly within no bit. And, like, again, me and Kenny kind of go back and forth about this. Kakashi won that fight against Pain.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into that. But the Osteopath hadn't intercepted that, which I don't think he should have. That fight was plot to begin with. There's no way a fucking
Osteopath was down.
Yeah.
Osteopath was down.
electrified, beaten the shit out of by Choji and Choja, Osteopath should not have been able to move as quick as a fucking Raikiri 2 feet away. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I think and again, Itachi's a genius himself too. Like, he's no joke. Like, he figured out how to deal with Nagato's Shinra Tensei. Chewbacca Tensei with
Yeah.
almost with no difficulty. Like Naruto was freaking out, and Itachi was like, "Look, you gotta calm down and assess the situation. Look that like all the gravity is being pulled up towards that little black sphere. So all we gotta do is just towards it. Like that is like something that I see Itachi doing. Like
Wait.
yeah.
Maybe
So
wait.
so I would say they're on par.
Yeah.
I mean,
But in the heat of battle, Kakashi's always come out on top when it comes to strategy. So you can't knock him out of this fight.
so now we're gonna go on to what I guess jutsu, like ninjutsu variety. I mean that's really all we got. So
Yeah, 'cause we haven't gone over what Kakashi's full span of jutsu is yet.
yeah, we have Lightning Blade, we have Kamui. Yeah, it's 1,000 jutsu. You guys have Lightning Clone, you got Lightning Cable, Lightning Wolf. And then I guess his superior chakra now, because I guess that's what makes or
That's
breaks
the main thing with him.
yeah.
Is that.
That's what makes or break this fight. So now we got covered over everybody's abilities. We'll go on to see how we think the fight will go down. We'll do it from Itachi's point of view first. So let's say Itachi tried to use Tsukuyomi. Me and Kenny believe that Kakashi was able to survive a 3-day Tsukuyomi. I guarantee it was 3 days in Tsukuyomi, but it was still a very potent Tsukuyomi. He was able to survive with a base 3 Tomoe Sharingan.
Yeah.
Now, I assume it's never really been told in the manga or in the anime, but I assume that a Mangekyo Sharingan has a better defense against Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu.
I would say it's possible that it would be easier because when you watch the fight between Sasuke and Itachi, Zetsu says he was able to break out of that with a base 3.
Yeah.
Like that was impressive.
Yeah.
So I'm sure going off that Mangekyo it would be easier to break out.
Yeah. And again, you could use the comment that like Itachi let him break out, but Itachi was trying to test Itachi's strength. Itachi was trying to test Sasuke's strength.
Yeah.
So he wasn't just totally going easy on him. Like yeah, if he wanted to kill him, he could have, but he was trying to push Sasuke to the limit to see how strong he got. And so, I mean, there's no reason to think at the very least he was like going 80% serious. And even 80% serious to break out of it with the base 3 is pretty impatient.
I would still say the Tsukuyomi was serious.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't gonna kill him.
Yeah, but it was definitely still potent.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, so let's say that for the sake of fairness that Kakashi can break out of Tsukuyomi. Like, it's not outlandish to think of. But me and Kenny think that there's a possibility that he wouldn't even get hit with it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because, the minute he woke up after his first fight with Itachi, I believe Kakashi went to Guy. He's like, how would you prepare to fight Itachi? Like, what the hell? And Guy explained to Kakashi that, look at their feet. Like, that's the best way to fight someone who's using Sharingan is to look at their feet. And Kakashi has stated that the same jutsu does not work on him twice, and ever since then, nothing has been shown to be to disprove that.
Well, whenever a guy came in that first fight, Kakashi wasn't completely out of it anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he heard Guy when he said, "If you guys need to fight them, just stare at their feet."
Yeah.
I'm sure he heard him say it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a good chance that he may not get. So not only that, but if we're going off with everyone has full knowledge of everyone's abilities, we're gonna go off the assumption that Kakashi knows what to look for first.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's fought him once, so he already knows for sure about the Tsukuyomi at the very least.
Yeah. So he's obviously going to try to avoid it, just like he did the second time. And granted, that was a 30% clone, but we're not talking about strength here. We're talking about, Tsukuyomi. So again, that's a situation. If Itachi tries to use Tsukuyomi, it could go either way. We're not entirely sure. If he does get Kakashi in Tsukuyomi,
Breaks out.
maybe. I mean, there's a good chance he couldn't. I'm not totally disregarding it, but I'm saying that there is a chance. Like, I'm not saying that because a lot of people want to say that because of that first fight, they think that Tsukuyomi is an end-all, one-shot, one-kill, and that's not the case. Like, there's a possibility.
I'll say Sasuke proved you can get out of it.
Yeah. So now we'll go on to Amaterasu. Amaterasu, it's definitely a one-shot, one-kill if it makes impact on you. But the thing is that the Raikage was able to react in time enough to avoid Amaterasu being blitzed at him by Sasuke. Now, I'm not saying Kakashi is as fast as the Raikage, but with his Sharingan, he should have enough visual perception to see that, for one, an abnormal amount of chakra is being built up in Sasuke's eye, and two, should be able to see the Amaterasu being launched in time enough to avoid it. Yeah.
He could even see chakra being gathered in the eyes.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you
Yeah.
could see that. So with Mangekyo, that's not even be a question.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's how he's able to pre-warn Asuma and Kurama and shut their eyes before Itachi put the Genjutsu on him.
Yeah.
So, again, a lot of people want to misconstrued about. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people kind of misconstrued that the whole Raikage thing is that's not all around speed. That's just reaction time. That's like reflex time.
Yeah.
And Sasuke was able to stop Sasuke's Chidori before he could hit Sakura 2 feet away. Sasuke. And here's the thing: I told you about this the other day, is that Kakashi has trained his entire life against two of some of the fastest people on the planet that we know of,
Yeah.
Guy and Minato. So Kakashi has to be, at least Lee or Guy's level of speed, which is arguably pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, even in base, that's still pretty fast for a regular fucking shinobi. I'm not putting him on par with the Raikage, but with his Sharingan and his pretty decent speed, he should be able to avoid a blitz from Amaterasu.
Yeah.
And we even brought this up the other day too, is that, say for the sake of fairness, that it does make impact. Could Kamui not, warp away the flames even if it does make on impact? Because it's not going to kill him right away.
No.
I mean, it's going to burn a little bit, but can you? I mean,
We can't say for sure either way. If you have a idea about that, post it in the comments. We're just assuming maybe it is possible to Kamui away the flames.
or not only that, but let's say he's able to see the, if he's able to react enough time to dodge it, and assuming he's already using his Mangekyo Sharingan, can he just not Kamui away the flames before it makes impact?
That's also possible.
I mean, because Kamui is pretty fast, especially specifically Kakashi's Kamui. I mean, he was able.
And outspeeds Obito's Kamui, which was fast enough to get Sasuke out of a particle style.
Yeah.
You can't even put a time frame on that.
Yeah.
He goes in and out of a particle style that Sasuke was already inside of.
Yeah. Even so even when Kakashi warped away a shadow clone Naruto, Obito, whose eye it originally belonged to, could not even tell. He honestly couldn't tell that the Kamui, he just assumed that the shadow clone just disappeared.
And the same with the Rasengan. He thought that Naruto just released it.
Yeah.
He didn't even remotely expect Kakashi had Kamui'd it into his dimension.
This is Obito we're talking about. Obito is one of the top tiers of Naruto. So again, we're not saying that it's Itachi can't kill Kakashi with Amaterasu, but we're also not stating that it's a one-shot, one-kill, because there's at least a couple of ways that Kakashi can avoid it. Now we'll go on to which a lot of people want to say this is the one-shot, one-kill, which was Susanoo.
To be specific, the Totsuka blade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Susanoo in general is a big problem for someone like Kakashi. I mean, I can even see someone like Jiraiya having a bit of a tough time dealing with that. Without his, because Kakashi has no fucking summons like Jiraiya does. You can't really expect the Ninja Hound to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, but with Kamui and his intelligence, he may not even need it, because as we've seen in the War Arc, Kakashi was able to could have warped away the whole head of the Geto statue. And with a full reserve left, because after Kurama gave him that little bit of chakra, and I'm assuming because he didn't have the cloak on him, so I'm going to assume he just got the full level of chakra that Kakashi could get, without getting any extra, just normal Kakashi War Arc chakra.
Kakashi level.
He was able to warp in and out the entire 8 tails. That's a lot of chakra. He was already done. Kakashi has at least 7 shots of Kamui at his first stage, just using Kamui alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, he has like 7 or 8 shots of Kamui.
Not to mention how much more accurate he's gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, he went from not being able to get Dato's head at the beginning of Shippuden to getting a Rasengan from Naruto. I mean, the speed that he's traveling at to be able to Kamui that is fucking insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people want to say that the Totsuka Blade's one shot won't kill. Now, if he does happen to hit Kakashi, yes, he's done. But that's assuming that Kakashi would even get hit in the first place. Because we talked about this too. Like, yeah, he was able to pierce Nagato with it. He was able to pierce Orochimaru, but both of which were kind of big targets. Like, Orochimaru specifically was a big target because he had a fucking 8-headed serpent. Nagato was floating in mid-fucking air on a giant bird. It's hard to hit a smaller moving target that's moving on the ground.
Well, and with Orochimaru, it wasn't so much even him being a big target. He was still kind of stuck in the snake's mouth. He wasn't able to move.
Yeah.
He pretty well trapped in that spot.
So, like, with that in mind, it's just like, I mean, yeah, he could still maybe hit Kakashi, but it'd be definitely tough. Not only that, but, like, if Kakashi was pretty smart, say, like Itachi felt like he was pushed to the brink and he just had used Susanoo as a trump card. All Kakashi would have to do is make, like, 2 or 3 shadow clones and hide his real body underground until Itachi's chakra wore off.
Which is, he's probably be fighting with the clones anyways, because like they say in the pain fight, Kakashi's always started off a fight with a clone until he's gauged his opponent's abilities and come up with a decisive strategy to take them down.
Well, with that though, it's like I feel like Itachi would only use Susanoo as a last resort. So, I guess in that moment of the fight, we're not sure how they would. Like, I'm assuming Kakashi would have enough chakra to make at least a couple of shadow clones. If not, like 2 shadow clones and a lightning style clone.
Yeah.
I feel like. Which again, all he has to do is hide his real body underground using Headhunter Jutsu, and just wait for the Susanoo to go down.
Yeah, I mean Itachi's chakra is gonna run out. It wouldn't at that point. It wouldn't take long.
I mean, it's not only his chakra, it's his Sharingan.
Yeah.
Like like we're going back to the 5 Kage Summon Sasuke. Like, he used the big Susanoo one time against the 5 Kage Summon, along with the normal skeletal Susanoo armor, like multiple times. Mm-hmm. And by the time he got to the Mizukage, his eyes were bleeding, his cells were hurting, like, and that was all while he was using his jutsu, his Amaterasu, his lightning style, his fire style. Like, by the time he got to the Mizukage, he was almost done, like, as far as chakra goes. But he was really done as far as being blinded. Had it not been for Obito and Karin being there, like, he probably would have been done. Like, there's no doubt about it. So, and even in the Sasuke and Itachi fight, like, how long after Itachi manifested the Susanoo did it just disappear, that he died? I mean, it wasn't really long at all.
I was like, you don't really know how fast it happened, but I mean, it's only a couple minutes. There's just no time to take down Orochimaru and walk
to Sasuke.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that if Itachi started the battle with Susanoo, he'd be able to last longer. But I feel like Susanoo is a trump card. Like, you don't use that unless you feel like, especially if you're Itachi, who doesn't have a whole lot of chakra. See, that's one reason why Sasuke's kind of stupid in the fight between the 5 Kage Summon, because he used Susanoo almost immediately. Like, at least not the big one, but he started using the Susanoo skeletal armor, which I think admittedly was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
he didn't know what the limits were that it would affect his eyes, so he probably didn't have any idea that it was going to hurt him the way it did.
Yeah, that is true. So now that we got like all the the big scenario, because again, a lot of things go into a fight. A lot of tactics kind of go into it. Like, this is why we really feel like we cannot really come to a clear consensus of how the fight's going to go down. It's just that, like, arguably, War Kakashi has just enough chakra as Itachi does. The thing is that, like, most of Itachi's abilities take a lot more chakra than just like all that Kakashi's do, because Kakashi's jutsu just is like regular nature. I mean, the lightning style does take probably the most chakra out of all the 5 basic nature transformations, but it's still one of like just a regular basic nature transformation. It's not a super strong Sharingan jutsu that probably takes a lot more chakra than.
No, it's like I said in the beginning. everything Itachi has is centered around his eyes. The only thing that Kakashi really needs that for is using Kamui.
Yeah.
Which he probably won't use more than once or twice in that fight.
Honestly, I couldn't even see Kakashi using Kamui until Itachi used Susanoo.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the only case. Unless he did try to use it against an Amaterasu.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so let's make a hypothetical battle. So they start off head to head, swap hands for a little bit, kind of even. Let's say, there's just no, Itachi hits, Kakashi with the Tsukuyomi. Let's say that it takes a minute for Kakashi to break out, which I feel like is fair. It's still going to take a minute. What's Itachi going to do? He's already got him locked into Tsukuyomi.
It's only a moment.
Do you have to make eye contact? Do you have to maintain eye contact?
I don't know if it ever states you have to maintain eye contact. For that.
I feel like you do, because by the time Sasuke broke out of it, he was still pinned to.
Because it's a moment. So I mean, he's using it, he can't do anything either. So it's like he could kill him while he's in the Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, I mean, if he has a shadow clone, maybe.
Yeah, that would be one situation. Yeah.
But we're going off of the assumption that Kakashi wouldn't make a clone himself.
Yeah.
Which he usually does.
Which is probably what he'd probably go into the fight with a lightning clone out in the first place.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so yeah, let's go assume that he does the same thing with Pain. He gets a lightning style shadow clone, and because even though it's 30% of a clone of Itachi still could not tell the difference between a clone and the real thing. He couldn't even know when it happened, because Itachi or Kakashi used the Earth style move to hit himself from view. Itachi even stated, I didn't even notice the change because of that Earth style move. Of course, my Genjutsu has no effect on you because you're a fucking shadow clone. Imagine that was a lightning clone. The real Itachi did that against a lightning style shadow clone, and all Kakashi has to do is just grab onto Itachi and just that's it. I mean, that's not saying it's done, but it gives enough time.
A lot of damage there.
I mean, it's gonna be enough time for Kakashi to, use Kamui. Now, let's say that Itachi that he grabbed onto was also a clone, which I feel like is also possible. Then it's really just gonna be a clone back and forth kind of thing anyway.
We're back to the Sasuke fight where we're just the same sort of scenario.
So so Tsukuyomi doesn't work. So Tsukuyomi's off the table now. They swap hands again for a little bit. Itachi tries to use Amaterasu. I mean, again, we've debated that there's a possibility that if he got hit with Amaterasu, there's a good chance that he could preemptively warp it away, or dodge it enough time.
I feel like for the sake of the fight, I would lean towards him dodging it, just for the fact that he's going to see it building up. We've already said that he's fast. You cannot say Itachi is faster, but you also don't know if Kakashi is. But he's fast enough to dodge an Amaterasu.
Yeah. So Amaterasu is a one-shot, one-kill, but it's depending on if he can get it or not. So we're not really totally sure if he can. Then I guess now it just goes to Susanoo, which I feel like both of their trump cards, which Kamui and Susanoo, I feel like Kakashi wouldn't use Kamui until Susanoo came up, which Kakashi has enough chakra to at least perform 5 to 6 Kamui. I feel like the moment Itachi makes a Susanoo, he's going to use Kamui to warp away the Totsuka Blade or the Yata Mirror.
Yeah.
I feel like Totsuka Blade more because it's an offensive. Yeah. So, I mean,
you can't do anything with just Yata Mirror.
Yeah. And not only that, honestly, let's say, Kakashi makes a plan to warp, the Totsuka Blade.
He could warp both.
Yeah.
He could easily warp both.
Or the whole damn Susanoo, for that matter.
Yeah, because we're talking about a guy who, at War Arc, he at least claims that he could warp 5 Bijou bombs. You can at least say for sure he can get 1 or 2. But Kakashi isn't one to overestimate his abilities. If anything, he usually underestimates himself. So for him to claim that he could take down 5 Bijou bombs, I would hope. And the Gedo statue head.
Yeah. Or in the 8 tails.
And the 8 tails. Yeah. I would think he could take a whole Susanoo.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, but let's say for the sake of fairness that he didn't try to use the entire, just for the sake that he probably it's probably going to take too much chakra to try to do the whole Susanoo. Let's say he tried to do the Totsuka Blade, which I feel like it'd be fairly easy.
Yeah.
So, say he did that. He can go right up behind the Susanoo and use Lightning Cable to at least damage it. He damaged a version 2 Jinchuriki with almost no difficulty. Like, Kakashi still stated in that fight alone that he was worried about chakra, and yet he still made a Shadow Clone and a Lightning Cable and was still fine. Like, what the fuck? Like,
well, even the beginning, you remember the fight with Zabuza. He says he's out of chakra, but he could probably use a couple clones, and then he spams like 100.
oh yeah, and he's still talking to those guys like, you still want to fight? I'm like, nope, I'm good. So like, it's just a lot of stuff gets retconned as far as like abilities and chakra reserves go, but the thing with like I do see consistently is that Kakashi does not have a whole lot of stamina and chakra. That is one thing I do hear keep getting repeated a lot up until the pain and the war art.
Yeah.
So, again, like, we're not saying that the Totsuka Blade isn't a one-shot, one-kill, but it's definitely not, because, again, it's harder to move a smaller moving target with a big fucking blade.
Yeah.
Like, especially someone who's like Kakashi who can use Headhunter Jutsu.
Agile, smart. I feel like he gets out the way of the Totsuka Blade.
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough to take down Kakashi.
Yeah. So, like, again, that's about like all that as far as the abilities go. We can't really come to a clear consensus of how the fight. Only reason I told you we had an answer.
If I were to make a guess, I'd say Kakashi takes 6 out of 10 fights. If I were to put a number on it.
And I honestly agree. And the only reason why we say that is because, one, Kakashi has, again, I'm not saying he has more chakra than Itachi, but he has enough to be capable of himself. Not only that, he's able to conserve a lot more because of his jutsu being like not totally Sharingan based. Like he just uses regular like elemental jutsu and a couple uses of Kamui, and he's still okay to swap hands and use other jutsu. So, but by the time Itachi tries to use his main arsenal, I mean, let's say for the sake of fairness, he tries to use Fireball too. Fireball, the Exploding Shadow Clones, Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, Susanoo. He's going to be drained by the time he uses everything in his arsenal to try to take Kakashi down.
Yeah.
And Kakashi is capable of avoiding all of those. I'm not saying he will, but he is still capable of avoiding all of those. So by the time he uses Susanoo, Kakashi still has enough chakra, arguably, to warp away at least the Totsuka Blade, which, I mean, say for the sake of fairness, he's only able to warp the Totsuka Blade with one Kamui, and he can't use Kamui again because he's going to be... If he uses it again, he's going to be in trouble.
He's still got Lightning Cable.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing Itachi can do in a solo Susanoo. Because, again, after he uses Kamui, all Kakashi has to do is hide himself underground.
It's done.
Like, really. I mean, really. So, you have a point where, like, Kakashi, at the very least, is going to win this match solely because he will outlast Itachi in terms of stamina and chakra.
Yeah. And that's the thing with this. We're going off an assumed Itachi. We don't know how strong he would have been if he had been healthy.
Yeah.
But we can't overpower him just because he's Itachi.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, again, like, we hear all the time about how Kishimoto said that he had to take Itachi out of the war because he would have probably finished Madara if he hadn't. Only reason I see that even being remotely possible is Izanami. There's just no fucking way I can really see Itachi fight. Even in Edo. If I see Edo Itachi versus Edo Madara, there's just no way. I just can't do it. I can't see it. But that's really neither here or there. And again, that's the battle we feel like how that would go down. If you have any in debates or whether you want to say we're wrong, you feel free to leave it in the comments below. Again,
best we can. We'll reply to it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're going off as best we know. We've watched the show since we were little kids, so we're not just trolling here. We took at least a week or two.
It's been 2 weeks.
Debating over this fight and how it would go, and for the most part, we're not saying Kakashi totally wins, but again,
well, even at the start of this, I thought Itachi took it 100%.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can ask Kenny. Like, I'm the biggest Kakashi fan, but I even said that I feel like Itachi would probably win. But honestly, like. It's just
after going everything that he does in the war arc, and with this fight, it's one of those things. If this happens, can he dodge it? Type of deal. Kakashi has time and time again proved that if something happens, he's going to outsmart it. He's gonna dodge it. He's gonna live.
Now, a lot of people argue about this too, And you can end the video if you want, but I do want to bring this up is that a lot of people bring up that Kakashi, aside from Zabuza, never beats anybody in Naruto.
It's like saying Goku never kills anybody.
Yeah, or Vegeta. Everyone says that Vegeta is really strong, and Vegeta really never wins a fight either.
No.
So I mean, again, he does against semi-perfect Cell, but then that's really the only fight. So it comes in the point where like, yeah,
you gotta see the people that Kakashi gets stacked against
are like the main antagonists of the current arc.
They don't stack him against some weakling.
Yeah.
It's always top tier.
What? Datara, Kakazu, Pain, like Obito, like I mean, so it's not like Kakashi's fighting like these B to A class. He's fighting S class or higher ninja. People that like Jiraiya. Ultimately, you probably want Jiraiya to be there tanking by himself. So, and at the start of Shippuden to mid, I'd say Kakashi's A rank, but Pain to War, he's definitely S class, like Hokage level, like way past that. So, again, like that's all we got for today. You know, honestly, we tried our best. You can leave it in the comments and below. Hopefully, you know, Swag Kage might see this. We don't know, but like if he does see it, let us know what you think. But that's all we got today. So shout out my boy.
Thanks everybody for joining in with us.
And again, leave your comments in below, and we'll see you later. Bye.